welcome to Impact 2026, our continuing conversation where we talk about all different types of topics from race, religion, current events, everything that you can think of. This is that opportunity for you to be able to join in on the conversation. So for all of you who are out there, whether you're on Facebook or YouTube, feel free to type your questions and your comments into the comment section. So if it's something that you like, something that you disagree with, something that you do agree with, whatever, just a question that you may have, go ahead and type it into the chat or the comment section, and it will appear on the screen, and we will address it. If we know the answer, we'll give it to you. If we don't, we won't. I always like to remind people of the other offers that we have going on. On Thursdays at 7 o'clock, we have Thursday Thirst. That's a weekly Bible study. That's Thursday at 7 p.m., and it's on Facebook and YouTube. Please join us for that. On Sunday at 10 a.m., we have worship service, and that's Eastern Standard Time as well. That's on Facebook, YouTube, and actually on in live, so in person. So you can come to the address that's on your screen, the 501 West 9 Mile Road. And then on Tuesdays, today, we have a time of prayer from 7 to 7:45. You don't have to pray the whole time, just sometime between 7 and 7:45. You're praying with everybody in the ministry. And so, of course, we have Impact 2026, which you're taking in right now. And as always, I like to jump right into the topics. And so, interesting little topic today. We're going to talk about influencers, social media influencers, and the fact that it's a dangerous job. So I'll just give you some quick stats. Right now, they said if you're an influencer, you have a 40% more likely chance of committing suicide. You have a higher rate of chances of being violence coming against you. And so one of the questions is, why are so many influencers passing away? There's three major things when it comes to influencers, and we're talking about social media influencers. So we're talking about anybody who has a presence online and has a significant number of followers. So we're not talking about people like myself who are sitting here on the webcast and we just have a couple of people talking. We're talking about people who are streaming live, whether it be on Facebook, TikTok, YouTube, anything like that, and they have at least 1,000 followers or more. We're talking about people who have 10,000, 100,000, million followers. And so if you look all the time out here on television, if you're looking on your news, if you're on social media, you're seeing that a lot of these people are dying. Number one, they're dying from suicide. And again, like I said, they have a 40% higher rate of committing suicide if you're an influencer. Number two, they're dying because they're doing high-risk activities, some of them. If you're an influencer, let's say you're a travel influencer and you're trying to take a picture off the edge of a mountain and you lean back too far, you can possibly pass away as well. And so a lot of them have died because they're doing risky activities. But then the third one is, and it's more so in other countries than here, is that the influencers are being subject to violence from their fans or from people who are kidnapping and doing other things because they know they have money, resources, they have power, they have their face out here. And so the question that we're asking today as we talk through this is, one, why is it so dangerous? And then two, how do we feel about that? How do we talk to our kids about that and our children about that and influence about influencers? I know my child, my son, he's about to be 10 years old. He came to me the other day and he was like, look, I'll be playing these video games. I want to be online. I want to be famous. I want to record myself playing some video games. And so, what do you say to that? What do you say? There's some benefits and then there's some dangers. And so we're going to talk about that today. So I brought in Brandon here. And so, Brandon, so you kind of heard the stats and everything that I gave out. Your initial thoughts. Why do you think, not why do you think it's worth it? You can make a lot of money. You can change your life being an influencer out here. All the kids say that they want to be an influencer if you talk to any of them. If one of them asks you right now, like, yeah, I want to be an influencer. Oh, might have lost you. I think we lost him. Hold on, we'll work on that. We'll work on it when he comes back. So I'll flip back to a couple more things here. It depends on where you are. If you're in South America or in America, in Mexico and places like that, their number one things with their influencers are they're being targeted for violence. There's a lot of kidnappings in South American countries, unfortunately. There's a lot of violence and things like that goes on. And so in Mexico, your number one thing to be worried about if you're an influencer is violence. In the United States, it's mental health. So in the United States, the influencers here, a lot of them are doing self harm, and that's the danger here. And then, of course, globally, if you are an influencer and you're just one of those risky influencers, like I said, you're taking pictures off the side of mountains. Globally, that's the number one risk. So it kind of depends on where you're at. All right, and so now, Brandon, I got you again.
Yeah.
What do you think? Is
Sorry
it
about that.
worth the risk? You know all the benefits. You can get a lot of money. You can get a lot of fame. You can change the life of yourself and your family. But if a kid comes up to you and says, "Hey, I want to be an influencer," what would you say? Is it worth? Is it worth the risk?
Um, it can be worth the risk, but if you want to go on like numbers of like, if you want to go by numbers, I wouldn't say like, I would have like other focus in other areas because not everybody gets to like make it to the level where the risk is like worth it. You know what I'm trying to say? And
Mm-hmm.
sometimes like I know a lot of influencers, they make a lot of sacrifices and stuff like, because how those people are like online is like not how you see them in person. So, I would be if I would be worried about the kid, like just staying true to himself, and you want influence off of that, then just playing a character online and it don't be worth it. That makes sense.
Yeah, it does. And so, we both got young children, young daughters. So a lot for the young children, it's the parents. The parents are the ones who put it out there. Some of the kids are the influencers who make the most or have the most followers because they
Right,
have the little kids. They're opening toys, they're watching movies, they're doing reviews, they're doing their makeup and stuff like that. Um, so the parents are kind of putting their kids out there. Do you blame the parents if you put your kid out here? You done sacrifice their childhood. It's kind of like with Michael Jackson in the same sense of that, where you,
right,
you put your kid out here, you make them rich and you make them famous, but then their lives being miserable. Is
right.
that the parents' fault?
Mm, yeah, I mean, yeah, ultimately it is the parents' fault, because you create that environment for them. But I think
Mm-hmm.
I don't blame the parents. I could see like how they could end up going that route because that's just what the times are going and like everything is like monetized online and stuff like that. It could be some easy money out there, but like you said, is it worth it? I don't think all the time it'll be worth it, but if you do go that route, I say you'll have to go all in to get like what you gonna get from it, because like you say, you just opening kids just opening toys and stuff, you shoving a camera in their face, and then not like just for memory books and stuff like this stuff going online. So then they go to school and it's like, yeah, I seen you online, and people don't forget on the internet. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? So it's like it might be something you do like at 8 years old, they gonna remember you that for the rest of your life. You see what I'm saying? So
Mm-hmm.
that's why I was like, you got to be careful, like to try to keep that balance of like just try not to expose too much, because you still want your life as your life. You don't want your life to become the internet either.
Right. Right. Yeah, I think one of the major differences that they have here, I'm talking about what one of these doctors said. One of the major differences between being an actor and an actress and being an influencer is when you're acting, you know that's a character that you're playing. That's not you. And so when people criticize, they'll criticize the movie, and they'll say, "Man, I didn't like that movie," or "I didn't like how you played that character in the movie." But they don't really, they do, but they don't as much come after you as a person. So if it was you,
Right,
they'd be like, they have to come after Brandon. They're gonna be like, "Brandon, man, you was whacking that role, man. That wasn't good for you." But it's not like they're coming after you and kind of talking
right,
about you.
right,
Whereas what they said about the influencers, and one of these professionals basically said that humans aren't made to endure that amount of criticism on their personal level. And
right,
so a lot of the influencers, that's not a role, that's not a skit, that's not an act. I mean, it is a little bit of, they putting on a little bit. That's not their true self, but it is them. They're using their real name a lot of times or a
right,
nickname they use. And so they're criticizing you. They're like, "Hey man, you look terrible," or "I hate the way you talk," or stuff like
right.
that. Um, and so that's the part that really beats them up. Is I say all that to say, is there something as a society that we should do? In some other countries, they're restricting how much time people can be on the internet. But should we consider, restricting who can get on the internet or how much? Um, they should be like it should be an age limit for when you can be an influencer. And at the same time, you got to remember that this just changing people's lives. It's kind of like sports or music, where you can have
Right.
somebody who's been poor and they can change their whole entire life. So if you restrict
Right.
them, now you restrict the people from being able to change their life and make a living. But is there something that we should do as a society to kind of like, protect people?
Yeah, definitely, most definitely. Society is the most important thing, like how we view things. Because I think now, like, we live in a time where a lot of people don't think for themselves. So it's
Mhm.
like, one person might say this a thing, and then it's a narrative out, and then they run with it, and then so I definitely think we should, as a society, like, protect it, and and then just not put too much into it either. Like, just understand that these people are humans and have lives when they cut the camera off. And, like, what they just doing a job. Like you say, they are actors at the end of the day. So it's like you can't take their word for law. And then as far as kids being on there, you're like that. I'm all for, like, protecting the kids and stuff like that. Like, I feel
Mhm.
like, you know, if it's something they want to do, then you work with them. Instead of, like, as a baby, you just putting the camera in their face from, like, from the beginning of their lives up until, like, they're walking and talking so I definitely think, as a society, like, we can play a part in the, like, these people becoming as important. I'm not saying, like, I want to, like, shut down the influencer, like, avenue either, because it's like it could you they do bring good to it too, but it's like
Mhm.
when the cancel culture come in, the heavy criticism, and all that things, like, like you said, a human shouldn't have to face all of that. Like, we should definitely, like, just understand, like I said, understand that these people are just playing a role. you
Right.
know some influencers do, don't get me wrong, get consumed by the role, and that become them. Those that us as a society, we should protect that person and, like, reel them back in and let them know, like, hey, we still here, instead of just point the finger and be like, "Oh, you bad, 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 shame, shame, shame."
Right.
But, like, hey, like, what you doing there? You should be careful with this, But, not every, like I said, not everybody receptive of it or receptive of that either. So, but I definitely do think, as a society, like, we should play a role in, protecting them and restricting, like, let them know, like, what's good or what's that. But,
Mhm.
at the same time, without trying to shut it down. If that makes sense. If that makes sense to you, like,
I,
without trying to,
I, I
like,
do. I get that. I do get that. We got a
yeah.
comment. I'm more concerned with how influencers impact the lives of those who follow. How many of their followers have committed suicide because of how they've been influenced? Uh, Interesting. That's an interesting aspect of it. Thinking more so about the followers and how many followers have actually passed away because of influencers. Now, I don't. It's interesting because I don't have any. I've done some research about this. You don't see anything about that. You don't see any stats about how many followers have committed suicide because of what the influencer may have done or may have said. You only see it on the reverse. So that's
Right.
an interesting conversation right there. I do got a question, another question for you, Brandon. What? So in the U.S., like I said, in oh, lost you. Well, I'll tee up the question, and when he comes back, we'll hit it again. In the U.S., the number one issue with influencers
Uh,
passing away is
I'm gonna have a.
um, the number one issue with influencers passing away is their mental health. In Mexico, I was like Mexico, South America, it's violence. They're targets, and so that's their number one issue. And then, like I said, globally, it's just because people be doing risky stuff, they're doing crazy stuff, they're trying to do stuff in front of animals. But here in the United States, you have an issue where you got people who have plenty of money because they're influencers. A lot of these people are, um, you know, physical fitness people, or they're doing makeup. They're gorgeous. So and young. So you're young, you're attractive, you got money. From the outside looking in, people are like, you got it all, and they're famous, and so they're like, oh, you got it all, but yet they're killing each other. I mean, killing themselves. Um, and look happy. you know, you hear the people around them and they're saying, well, you know, I never knew. And so I think it's an example, especially an example that we can use with one another as we get caught up in this materialistic world that, you know, you see people who look like they're happy, look like they have it all, look like they have success, look like they have the easy life, and yet they're killing themselves. So what's the problem? Like, why are they doing that? All right, and I got you, Brandon. I don't know how much of the question that you heard, so I'll redo it real quickly.
Yeah, I apologize. I'm having technical difficulties. I had a phone call and it
Oh no,
froze.
it's all good.
Okay.
But yeah, you see these influencers here in the United States. Suicide is the number one cause of death amongst influencers here. A lot of these people, they look great because they're like physical fitness influencers, or they have makeup. They got all the money. They got the fame. They look like they have it all. Yet here in the United States, that's the number one cause of death amongst social media influencers is they're killing themselves. Why do you think? You know, we sit back and they have everything that everybody wants, and they look like they're happy, and then they kill themselves. Like, what's the message there? Like, why? You know, that's what everybody wants. They want to be happy. They want to have money. They want to have fame. Well, not everybody want to have fame, but a lot of people want to have fame. They want to look good. They have all of this, yet they're killing themselves. What do you think might be going on there?
Um, they're not really happy. Like, you know, um, it could be a bunch of things going on. Like when you sacrifice so much and be online, I guess sacrifice so much being online, getting to that level, you kind of disconnect with people, and you disconnect like with yourself or like what really makes you happy. You know what I'm trying to say? Like you just ain't like you just trying to get and acquire and acquire and acquire that like you kind of miss out on like what really matters. So you look up and you like, I got this big house, I got all this money, but it's like I'm not spending it or time with the people that I love, you know,
Mm,
and ultimately, you know, they probably don't keep God in their lives, you know, and they
mm,
not connected, they not grounded in anything. They just living in chaos, you know. Then that's kind of like what the theme of the world is like right now, like you know, nobody's grounded in anything, you know what I'm saying? So I that's what I believe is going on. Like you know, they just you so connected online that you get disconnected with reality, you know, and
yeah,
then sometimes boom, it hits you in the face like it always does.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I do think that's a little bit of the problem. At the
Yeah.
end of the day, you get disconnected. I like that. So here's another one of a little wrinkle in it. Another one of the little issues. Um, so we talked about, you know, and this to all the people out there. I know this is a little bit more because we talked about death and everything like that. So we talked about the fact that suicide. We talked about the fact that you know, they're targets for violence. We talked about the fact that they're doing risky activities. But then there's another one reason that a lot of influencers are passing away, and this is more on the females. Maybe there's a couple of males, but they're altering their bodies. You know, they're getting the Brazilian butt lifts. They're getting the fillers and all this. I don't even know all the stuff that they're doing, but they're
Right.
getting these high risk surgeries that a lot of people get, but they go back for more. You know, they'll be on their third or fourth BBL or breast enhancement surgery, and then they die.
Right.
And so there's a higher number of that going on with them than it is with just regular folk. Uh, it goes back to the kids again, not even the kids, because you know our peers, you know, once they get enough money, some of them are going out here doing some of these risky surgeries. Uh, what's your position on that? Are you like, you know, you want to look how you want to look, you got the money to do it, go ahead and do it, or is
Right.
it why are you cutting yourself up and altering yourself to look like something else and risking your life? Like where do you come down on that?
Um, I, I I believe in like I like natural things, so you know that's you know like, and I get it. Like you know, you might be insecure about something. Like you might want to fix that tooth, or you might want to fix that. You like your nose. And I get it. Like you've been told that your whole life, but you know, like I guess they haven't heard that like that they're good enough. You get what I'm trying to say? Like people tell them like
Mm,
that you're fine. Like you know you don't gotta look like them. You don't got like you trying to look like somebody else. You buying you're mutilating yourself. You know. not to
Yeah.
be harsh or anything, but it's like, um, I think it starts in the household you come from. If you're not told, like, you're enough, like you're enough, then
Mm,
you feel like, oh, why this person getting this love or whatever, or is it because of, I don't know, he got a six pack, I'm gonna buy a six pack, like, go do some sit ups, or just
right.
love your just love yourself. You know what I'm saying? Like, because like you said, I wouldn't want it if it cut a fraction of my lifespan off, like, it- so I don't really agree with it. Like, I let people do them, but I would tell a person, like, you good enough. Like, you don't got to do that. And there's ways to acquire it. Yeah, you probably got to put the work in, but that's with anything that you want. You take a shortcut, is always gonna be a risk. You know.
Yeah. Got a couple of comments. It's said that many of these influencers don't believe in what they're talking about. What they want is fame and the money. Some use the excuse that people who listen to them should be smart enough to know that everything they hear is not true. Ooh, yeah. You agree with you agree with that? You think a lot of these guys are just faking, like they're
Yeah, I
not
mean,
really.
that's the same thing our politicians do. You know.
Uh,
It's the same thing our politicians do. You spew out misleading information and then get mad when people act on it. Some people, but you gotta understand, some people aren't going to be smart enough. You are
right.
their reliable source of information, their main source of information. That's what these people do have to understand. You know, like, all money ain't good money. You know what I'm saying? Like, especially if you changing the narrative about something that's not true. Because you know how hard it is to undo a narrative once it get going. Like, so, you know, I I definitely agree with that comment. It's the same thing. Like I said,
Yeah.
our politicians do. What's
Yeah.
next?
Here's another one. Some people measure their worth as a person by how they're viewed by others, and so yeah, that goes right in with the altar in their body. So you made a good point. You know, I, and as our time rolls on, one of the things that I learned when I was a very young kid in church was that you were supposed to love yourself. You're good how you are. You know, love yourself. Love who you are. Love the skin that that you're in. You know, how you're created. And so nowadays we've kind of changed that up a little bit, where it's love who you want to be. And so yes, with surgeries and things like that, not because you even corrected something. So like if your teeth are all crooked and you go get braces, that ain't a problem. That ain't no big deal, But
Right,
you sitting there trying to get, like you said, a nose job. Your nose ain't broken. Maybe if you were boxing and something like that and you had a
right,
broken nose, but you just trying to get something new and get something different.
right,
Or, they got the stretching surgery now. So for guys who are like short, they can stretch themselves and get longer legs and get like a half a foot taller. Like you just at this point, it's vanity projects. You know what I mean? So it's changed. Do you think? And then this is what I think. I think it's because we don't have people who love themselves. And as the church, a lot of people are not connected with the church. And one of the main things that the church is going to say,
hundred
love, God
percent.
made you perfect, love who you are, love yourself. Do you think some of this disconnect is just from the fact that now we're kind of on it as a society? You can love yourself or love who you want to be and how much money you can afford to be versus loving who you are. Like you got a couple of extra pounds, love them things. Don't run out here and get the GLP-1s and lose all the pounds. Like kind of love yourself. And if you want to change yourself a little bit, like you said, if you want some abs, do a couple of sit-ups. If you don't want to do the sit-ups, then love who you are, but don't go
Right,
out here and cut yourself all up. Like where you
right.
come in on that part of the love yourself part.
I'm with you 100%. Like you said it best. Like, love yourself. Like, God made you who you are. We all supposed to be who we are. We not supposed to be the like be different. That's why we got genes. You know what I'm saying? We supposed to be different people. You're not supposed to look like that person or whatever. That's what make this whole thing go. You know what I'm saying? So I'm with you 100%. Like you said, if you want to get braces, that's cool. But when you talking about taking your forearm bone and chopping it up to try to make things, like, it's like, all right, now it's like, okay, now that's You're doing
Right.
too much now, you know.
Too far.
But I'm with you 100% on that. Like, just love who you are, that should be enough. If that's not enough, move on. It's always somebody out there. There's always a friend group out there that you'll fit in. Like, you don't go where people don't want you. So, like, you can't go and try to BBL your way to being somebody's friend.
Right.
Like, that don't make sense. Or somebody's spouse. Like, so I'm with you 100% on that. Like, you're not grounded in anything. You probably growing up, you probably ain't heard enough. So you go out here and just believe anything. You know what I'm saying?
Mm. Yeah. I think I think you're right on that. I think that's just generally the problem. We got to just teach people, and from a young age, just you love who you are. Okay? And if you want to alter yourself, you can. You can, but don't alter yourself because you hate something about yourself. Alter yourself, you know, out of love. I guess. That's the best way I can say it. Like,
Right.
and don't do nothing that's gonna hurt you. That's risky.
Like you said, it all come down to people need more like God in their life, like whatever God you believe in, you need to be grounded in something. He's been around a lot longer than us, way before the internet. Like you said, it's on people that it's more people out there that know more like rap verses or comments than Bible verses. You know what I'm saying? So it's
Right.
like they believe in this stuff. They think it's
Mhm.
true. You know what I'm saying? And it's
Yeah.
not. This is fairly new, misleading information. If you go like look back to how long the book been out, like whatever you believe in, like religion been around like way longer than this stuff. And it told you like a lot of this stuff was gonna happen. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, you know, just you get grounded in something like whatever you really like. And it can't be the internet. It's too much misleading. One influencer can't change your like. You can't believe what they saying is law. Like, you gotta understand they human too, and what they gonna say some things you don't agree with, and that's fine. That's what make them them. You know what I'm saying? You can gotta
Mhm.
change your whole life to get in agreement with them. That would never make any sense to me.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Well, look, we quickly have gotten to our time. I'm gonna ask you one more question though,
Okay.
and so oh, well, we got a comment. I'm gonna do the comment, then I'm gonna ask you the question. The comment says, some people have made some changes to themselves that, from my perspective, have made them look worse. Yeah. I guess beauty is in the eye of the beholder. I definitely agree with that. I've seen a lot of people do some changes, and I'd be like, yeah, you was better than what you were before. Um,
Yeah.
yeah.
Um.
But I'll
mm,
say this as guys, because we got, I realized this when I was young. We got a lot of power when it comes to what's going on out here in the world. So as guys, do we have a responsibility to, how can I say this? A lot of the girls nowadays, and everybody hearing this may sound a little bad, so I'm gonna just preface it by saying that. I looked out here and I seen a lot of women online, on TV, or whatever, and they look the exact same. They don't look the exact same because they were born that way. They look the exact same because all of them have the exact same makeup routine, put the makeup and the eyeliner and all that on the exact same way. They all have the same face. Some of them,
right.
maybe the face may be a little bigger, maybe a little thinner, longer, shorter, whatever, but they all look the same.
Right.
And they're putting, doing some of the things as far as the enhancements and all of that, pretty much looking the same. Is it on us as guys, as men, to really come out here and be like, look, um, like you said, natural is cool. How you naturally look is good. You don't need to
Right.
put on all of this makeup every single day. You can do it, every once in a while when you try to look, but you don't have to wear pounds of makeup. I like to see how you look, or you don't have to have
Right.
all of this fake hair every day. Like, is it on us as guys to reinforce to some of our to some women and everything like that natural is beautiful, to kind of reinforce that? I've heard a couple of songs like that from some of these
Mm.
rappers out here. It was like, yeah, like, keep it natural. Because for so many years, I think we might have, as guys, we may have said some negative things, in the sense of putting this beauty standard up here, and now women are going to it.
Right.
Is it a little bit on us now?
It's a
It could
lot
be
of
solely them. They do what you do what you want to do as women. Like we don't control you, but is there a little responsibility on guys that we need to reinforce the fact that you're beautiful the way you are?
100%, absolutely. Definitely. It's definitely on us. I mean, like, look. I mean, it's definitely on us. It's definitely on us, and it's like as a society is on a society too. Like look who we making famous and stuff. Like look what we saying was in right now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like every female, like you say, they all got the same doctor, same makeup routine and all. Like so I'll say, yeah, it's definitely it start with us. That's like to get it, like you're good enough for us. You don't gotta go by that. So I would agree. I would say, yeah, 1,000%. Is but we all can play our role into like what's being pushed and like what's cool and what's in and what's out. You know what I'm saying? Because
Mm-hmm.
um, I'm tripping over my words. I forgot what I was ready to say. Just
Yeah.
that quick, but I I agree with you saying. I do think it's on us.
Yeah.
As men.
And we got a comment here. It says, let them know it's okay to work with what God gave them.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And, this is going to may sound a little creepy, but I think it's okay to let people know that, you look very nice today. Things like that where we can say to people and just
Right.
reinforce it so that they don't have to feel like they need to go out and do something additional. Don't be creepy.
We could normalize giving out compliments, and reassuring our sisters and stuff, and without trying to, without making it look like we had an end game, like you look fine. I think you look good.
Right. Right.
You're good enough. Just
Yeah.
as simple as that. You don't, and you don't even think about cutting yourself. Don't take that stomach fat and put it in your thighs. You ain't got to do that.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Keep it right where it's at.
Right.
Yeah.
That's I think we do. I like that. Just remind, we can compliment one another, every once in a while. Remind people that, you're beautiful the way you are. All right. Well, look, man, we've hit our time, man. I really appreciate you joining us and all the input that you're putting in. I appreciate all the comments that came in. As always, I like to remind people again about the other offerings that we have on Thursdays. Please join us for Bible study on Thursday, That's 7 o'clock. Sunday, 10 o'clock. In Facebook, YouTube, and in person. We have worship. And then on Tuesdays from 7 to 7:45, we have a time of prayer, as always. I want to thank everybody for joining us. Again, this was a wonderful conversation. Keep it going. And join us again next week.